and welcome to Indus News. Live from Islamabad, I'm Naila Shaja and these are the headlines. Pakistan's Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi says he has told the UAE that his country won't recognize Israel until the resolution of the Palestinian issue. Speaking to reporters a day after his visit to the UAE, the foreign minister said there is no pressure on Pakistan to recognize Israel. He clarified that neither the UAE nor Saudi Arabia has any intention of making India a replacement for Pakistan. In India, farmers are observing an indefinite relay hunger strike in a protest against the controversial laws against. They have also decided to halt toll collection on highways in Haryana from the 25th of December to the 27th. Countries trying to keep alive the Iran nuclear deal have agreed to positively address the possibility of a U.S. return to the accord. The virtual meeting of the parties to the deal, the first at the level of foreign ministers in over a year, urged all the sides not to waste the chance to salvage the pact. The 2015 deal has disintegrated steadily since the U.S. President Donald Trump withdrew from it in 2018 and imposed crippling sanctions on Iran. World Health Organization says evidence available as of yet doesn't suggest that the new strain causes more deaths or higher infection rate. However, a growing number of countries are stepping up restrictions on travel to and from the United Kingdom. Meanwhile, Pakistan has registered nearly 1,800 new cases and 62 fatalities overnight as the death toll increases to 9,400. Global death tally from the virus is approaching 1.7 million, while the infections toll has exceeded 76.7 million. And in football, Real Madrid have defeated Eibar 3-1, recording their fourth consecutive league win. Karim Benzema kept his impressive run of form by scoring his seventh league goal and 2 assists to secure Real's win. The win moves Real to second place in the Spanish league to level with leaders Atletico Madrid on 29 points. For more news and details, stay tuned. We'll be right back after a short break. Welcome back. Pakistan's Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi says he has told the UAE that his country won't recognize Israel until the resolution of the Palestinian issue. Speaking to reporters a day after his visit to the UAE, the foreign minister said there is no pressure on Pakistan to recognize Israel. He clarified that neither the UAE nor Saudi Arabia has any intention of making India a replacement for Pakistan. Talking about the recent revelations about information of a planned surgical strike, the foreign minister said Pakistan will give an immediate and effective response. He said India's true face has been exposed through the dossier and the damning revelations unearthed by the EU Disinfo Lab. Pakistan and Saudi Arabia have resolved to further strengthen the strong, long-standing and bilateral fraternal ties. The reaffirmation was made during a meeting between Prime Minister Imran Khan and Saudi Arabia's Ambassador Nawaf bin Saeed Al Malki. The exchange of views focused on bilateral cooperation and the COVID-19 situation. China's envoy Nong Rong has called on Pakistan's Army Chief General Qamar Javed Bajwa at the general headquarters in Rawalpindi. During the meeting, the two sides discussed the regional security situation and the China-Pakistan economic corridor. Views were also exchanged on bilateral defense cooperation. The envoy appreciated Pakistan's efforts for regional peace and stability. General Bajwa said that the recent visit of the Chinese defense minister has bolstered bilateral ties. Azad Jammu and Kashmir president says India is planning to strike Pakistan to divert the world's attention from its crimes in occupied Kashmir. Sardar Masood Khan said having been rebuffed by China, India is now planning to commit aggression against Pakistan. In a series of tweets, the AJK president said that the United Nations Security Council should warn India as its aggression would not be tolerated. He maintained that no power should give a green signal to the aggression. Khan also urged the United Nations Security Council to take notice of Indian attack on a UN vehicle along the LOC. He said that the United Nations observer forces have no freedom to move in the occupied territory. The president went on to say that India stages such attacks to play up its redundancy. The president pointed out that in 2020 alone, India has committed more than 3,000 ceasefire violations. A European Union-based human rights activist has called for a lawsuit against the Indian government over its fake news network. Vonod said that the EU Disinfo Lab's revelations caused enormous damage to Pakistan, China, European Union, United Nations, and the Indian minorities. The Indian government should be held accountable for its fake campaign. He said such campaigns depict India's jealousy over Pakistan's CPEC as it wants to isolate Pakistan with propaganda. He stressed that the need for disinfecting the internet and large-scale investigations into the issue. Former Chief Minister of Indian-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, Mehbooba Mufti, has slammed the detention of her party leaders. In a tweet, she said Sartaj Madni and Mansoor Hussain of the People's Democratic Party have been arbitrarily imprisoned. She said that they were detained on the eve of the results of the Maiden District Development Council elections in the valley. Mufti dubbed it as sheer lawlessness and said that the police were clueless as the orders came from above. In India, farmers are observing an indefinite relay hunger strike in protest against the controversial agriculture laws. A protest leader says 11 people will fast for each day in the strike. The protesters have also decided to halt toll collection on highways in the Haryana from the 25th of December to the 27th. After many rounds of failed negotiations, the government has once again approached the protesting farmers. The Agriculture Ministry's secretary has written a letter to farmer leaders, asking them to choose a date for next round of talks. Despite government assurances, the stir has been intensifying as farmers want the laws repealed. In Nepal, the dissolution of the parliament and announcement of new elections have been challenged in the country's top court. Prime Minister K.P. Sharma Oli's termination of the parliament raises the prospect of months of political turmoil amid the pandemic. The Supreme Court spokesperson said 3 petitions were in the process of being registered. Speaking legal stay, the petitioners denounced that the move as a constitutional coup. They said that the Prime Minister has no prerogative to dissolve the parliament. Experts say if the court registers the petitions, it could take about 2 weeks for a decision. The president set 30th April and May 10th as dates for the general election, more than a year ahead of schedule, on the advice of Oli's cabinet. In Afghanistan, a journalist has been killed in an attack by armed men in front of his home in Ghazni. Rahmatullah Nikzad was the head of the journalist union in the province. He is the 5th journalist killed in the last 2 months in the country. The Taliban, in a statement, have denied involvement in the attack on the Ghazni reporter. Countries trying to keep alive the Iran nuclear deal have agreed to positively address the possibility of a U.S. return to the accord. The virtual meeting of parties to the deal, at first the level of foreign ministers in over a year, urged all sides not to waste the chance to salvage the pact. German Foreign Minister Heiko Maas said that this is the last window of opportunity for the deal and must not be squandered. The 2015 nuclear deal has disintegrated steadily since the U.S. President Donald Trump withdrew from it in 2018 and imposed crippling sanctions on Iran. In return, Iran has stepped up uranium enrichment beyond the agreed limit. The United States is prepared to react if Iran launches an attack to mark the first anniversary of the killing of the Iranian General Qasem Soleimani. Commander of the United States Central Command, General Kenneth McKenzie, said this in a statement. He said that the United States is well prepared to defend itself and its friends and its partners in the region. McKenzie added he has recently visited Iraq and Syria to meet with American officers and troops deployed in the countries. McKenzie is touring the Middle East region weeks before the anniversary of Soleimani's killing by a U.S. drone strike in Iraq. China says United States President Donald Trump's accusation on Beijing's involvement in a cyber attack on the U.S. government network is a farce. Foreign Minister spokesperson Wang Weiban described allegations by the United States as not serious and self-contradictory. He said that the United States has politicized cybersecurity issues and continuously spread false information against China in an attempt to destroy its image. Last week, the United States government agencies, including Treasury Department, faced a large hacking. Initially, United States Secretary of State Mike Pompeo blamed Russia for the cyber attack, but Trump contradicted Pompeo, saying China may be behind the hack. He added that the fake news media is exaggerating the issue. A Chinese aircraft carrier group is on its way to the South China Sea to hold drills in the disputed area. The Navy of the People's Liberation Army said that the group is led by Beijing's newest carrier, the Shandong. It said that the ships have smoothly passed through the sensitive and narrow Taiwan Strait. The Navy added the drills are a part of a normal arrangement made by following annual plans. It said that the Navy will continue to organize similar operations based on training needs in the future. The Shandong carrier group sailed through the Taiwan Strait just a day after U.S. warship transited the waterway. Meanwhile, Taiwan said that it sent 6 warships and 8 aircraft to monitor the Shandong, which is accompanied by 4 warships. In the United States, President Donald Trump's campaign has again asked the Supreme Court to overturn election results. In a statement, Trump's lawyer Rudy Giuliani said that the campaign sought a reversal of 3 rulings by Pennsylvania State Court.
Rudy Giuliani said the filing also sought an order allowing Pennsylvania's legislature to declare Trump the winner. The Trump campaign and its allies have now filed roughly 50 lawsuits alleging widespread voting fraud. The latest long-shot effort comes just weeks before the Congress counts electoral votes on January 6th. Meanwhile, in a turbulent White House meeting, the U.S. president discussed new ways to overturn Biden's victory. Several media reports highlighted that the meeting considered the deployment of military and seizing election machines. In a tweet, Trump denied media reports of martial law as fake news. Senior military officials have ruled out any involvement in efforts to overturn the election results.
It's time for a short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Several countries have banned travel from the United Kingdom after the detection of a new strain of the coronavirus. Pakistan and India are among the latest countries to suspend flights. Meanwhile, the United States has surpassed 317,000 COVID-19 deaths with over 17.8 million cases. Globally, there are nearly 1.7 million deaths and 76 million infections.
The mutated strain of coronavirus found in southern England has caused frenzy all over the world. It has also been detected in the Netherlands, Denmark, and Australia. The World Health Organization says it is in close contact with UK officials over the emergence of a new variant, which could be up to 70% more transmissible. Meanwhile, scientists at U.S. Walter Reed Army Institute of Research are working to find out if it responds to vaccines. However, German officials claim the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine will be effective against the new strain. Amid travel bans to the UK, world leaders are setting up guidelines for their citizens stranded in London.
The situation at the moment is quiet. At this moment, upstairs, the doctors are taking swabs from the people on the flight arriving from England. As you know, there are new measures of the Italian Health Ministry, and those who have stayed in the last 14 days in Britain must report it to the relevant territorial health services.
Saudi Arabia has temporarily suspended all international passenger flights for a week over fears about the fast-spreading new variant. Meanwhile, over in the Americas, Chile is set to start deploying the Pfizer vaccine as early as next week. U.S. General Gustave Perna, who is in charge of distributing the vaccines, has conceded failure to deliver the initial number of doses promised to states. Meanwhile, congressional leaders have announced an agreement on a $900 billion relief package.
More help is on the way. Moments ago, in consultation with our committees, the 4 leaders of the Senate and the House finalized an agreement. There will be another major rescue package for the American people as our citizens continue battling this coronavirus this holiday season they will not be fighting alone. We've agreed to a package of nearly $900 billion. It is packed with targeted policies that help struggling Americans who've already waited entirely too long.
Over in Asia, South Korea recorded its first highest daily death toll from the coronavirus within 24 hours additional fatalities. India reported over 24,000 new cases and 333 new fatalities as its death toll topped 1.4 million. Thailand has begun testing tens of thousands of people following the country's worst outbreak yet.
In Pakistan, 62 people have lost their lives to COVID-19 over the past 24 hours. This takes the country's death toll to over 9,392. Health officials reported 1,792 infections overnight. Meanwhile, more than 40,000 active COVID-19 cases have been detected in the country. The health ministry says out of over 458,000 countrywide cases, more than 409,000 people have recovered. The ministry said over 204,000 cases have been detected in the province of Sindh, while the Punjab has reported nearly 131,000 cases so far. The Japanese government has approved 9th consecutive rise in the country's military spending. The Ministry of Defense is set to get a record high budget of $51.7 billion for the year starting in April. Up by 1.1% from this year, the budget will fund the development of an advanced stealth fighter and long-range anti-ship missile. The planned jet fighter is expected to cost around $40 billion and be ready in the 2030s. Tokyo will spend $323 million to begin the development of a long-range anti-ship missile. The enactment of the budget is certain as Prime Minister Suga enjoys a large majority in the parliament. Suga is continuing the controversial military expansion persuaded by his predecessor Shinzo Abe. In London, a court has found 2 men guilty of the manslaughter of 39 Vietnamese, including women and children. The bodies of all the victims were discovered in a lorry at an industrial estate in the Essex in October 2019. The deaths shocked Britain, and Vietnam shone a spotlight on the illicit global trade that sends poor of the Asia and Africa and Middle East on perilous journeys to the West. 2 other defendants were also found guilty of conspiracy to assist unlawful immigration. The KILAUEA volcano on Hawaii's Big Island has erupted. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, the eruption began on late Sunday in the Hilamaumau crater. The magnitude 4.4 earthquake hit about an hour after the volcano began to erupt. The U.S. Geological Survey said that it had received over 500 reports of earthquake, but damage to structures is not expected. The National Weather Service in Honolulu also issued an advisory about falling ash. Kealu last erupted in 2018, destroying more than 700 homes and spewing enough lava to fill 320,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools. The lava flowed over for 4 months, leaving deposits up to 80 feet thick in some areas. 2 of the biggest planets of the solar system, Jupiter and Saturn, will form a conjunction in the sky tonight. This will be the closest the planets have been since 1623. The planets will appear to be aligned so closely they will almost seem to be one single star in the sky. In a statement, NASA said this vibrant planetary conjunction will be easily visible. The next time we will get another chance like this will be on the 24th of August in 2414. Jupiter and Saturn are in conjunction when they have the same right ascension or celestial longitude. This astronomical event is named as the Great Conjunction. The coronavirus pandemic has limited traditional Christmas celebrations around the world. But in Egypt, a Batman, not Santa Claus, is distributing gifts among the children to mark the holiday season. Let's have a look at this superhero.
28-year-old Basim Rauf usually drives around his Cairo neighborhood in his custom-designed Batmobile, waving to passers-by and taking pictures with fellow fans. But this Christmas, with the coronavirus pandemic scaling back celebrations, Rauf has been handing out face masks to residents he finds along his usual route.
This new year, we do not need Santa Claus. We need a legend, a character known around the world as a hero. We need this character in the street to spread awareness. Gift giving this year should be masks and other materials with the aim of raising awareness.
Like many superfans across the world, Rauf had always dreamt of having his own Batmobile to drive around town. He says he often stops to allow others to take pictures of him and his customized vehicle.
Batman is a character whom many around the world grew up knowing it as a good guy who fights evil. Both old and young people like him, I too love Batman and always had a dream growing up that I find a car similar to Batman's car.
The world perhaps needs more such superheroes who can cheer people up in the testing time of the coronavirus pandemic.
Pop star and creator of Pakistan's popular cartoon Burqa Avenger Haroon is tackling racism with a new song. More in this report.
I suffered through ages and suffered in silence. I offered brotherhood and offered non-violence, but you...
Last summer, the Black Lives Matter movement in the US sent ripples through the world. Here in Pakistan, a pop star has launched a song inspired by the movement.
Just let me breathe, breathe, breathe. All I need is to breathe, breathe, breathe.
Haroon, who uses a masked alter ego Freddy Fiction, released Just Let Me Breathe on December 17 on YouTube. It garnered more than 200,000 views on the first day.
Freddy Fiction is a new project of mine, an alter ego of sorts, and the goal of Freddy Fiction is to write pop songs with social messages, make videos and songs that can have a positive impact. And for me, it's not about entertainment for entertainment's sake.
According to a statement from the producers, the song was inspired by the death of George Floyd, an African-American man who was killed during an arrest in Minneapolis after a white police officer knelt on Floyd's neck.
BLM activism is mainly in the US. However, racism and the BLM movement is a global concern. It is a global issue. And it's so important for everybody to participate, everybody to get involved, to raise your voice against racism in support of BLM. And it doesn't matter where you're from.
Haroon's animated TV series Burqa Avenger has also been aired in Afghanistan, India, and Indonesia and dubbed in various languages. Through his creation, he seeks to emphasize the importance of girls' education and equality in Pakistan.
In Taiwan, a high fashion designer is leveraging the power industry to design her clothes. The designer employs upcycled wires and bolts to decorate her dresses. More in this report.
Inspiration for high fashion can come from strange places. For one Taiwanese designer, it stems from upcycled old wires and bolts from the power industry. 36-year-old Wong Liling picks up discarded bits of metals and wires from Taiwan's main electricity supplier to add flair to her clothes.
We thought
that if we cut up these old cables, which have these thin iron wires inside, we could roll them into a shape that we could use. And then we found something, such as this one.
The wires and other materials stitched onto dresses give them a futuristic feeling. The dresses were exhibited at a fashion show in Taipei, where they drew a warm reception.
Putting old fabric and material and merge it into new designs. Everyone knows that the fashion industry is fast fashion. It is very wasteful. So how do we recreate new things with the old and using creative ideas to present them? I am very much in awe today.
Taiwan put a Taipei Fashion Week in October featuring live shows, which is a testament to the island's successful efforts to control the spread of the COVID-19.
As the coronavirus pandemic has made people more aware about hygiene, a Japanese startup company has set up hand and smartphone washing stations in the streets of Tokyo to emphasize on better hygiene. More in this report.
Shoppers washed their hands and sterilized their smartphones in the streets of Tokyo's Posh Ginza district as Voter Corp set up 20 of its wash machines near the Posh Ginza stores to prevent the spread of coronavirus. The initiative with the district association aims to encourage shoppers to wash their hands.
To be able to wash your hands wherever you are on the city, we thought we had to realize this as soon as possible amid the impact of COVID-19. So we sped up the development.
The machines don't require connection to running water and don't use fresh and wastewater tanks. Instead, they recycle the water through a 3-stage process of membrane filtration, chlorine and deep ultraviolet irradiation. On average, 20 liters of water provides around 500 washes and the filters should be changed after 2000. The machine also cleans smartphones using 20 to 30 seconds of ultraviolet light exposure. Touching a dirty phone would negate hand wash effort.
I use smartphones all the time, but I was not conscious that I don't sterilize it enough. It was good that this machine reminds me that we have to keep smartphones clean.
VOTA has now begun shipments within Japan and aims to expand internationally next year.
And now for a short break. Stay with us. Pakistan says new trade markets are being explored to achieve a $26 billion exports target in the next 3 years. Advisor to the Prime Minister on Commerce and Investment Abdul Razak Daud says Africa, North and South America are focal areas. In an interview, Daud said that trade diversification will enhance the economy. He added regional trade through Gwadar will boost connectivity with Central Asian states and Afghanistan. He said that the main agenda of the government is to boost exports and create employment opportunities for the youth. Post-Brexit trade talks will resume today after negotiators failed to reach an agreement over the weekend. The EU's chief Brexit negotiator Michael Barnier said that and his British counterpart David Frost met in Brussels on Sunday. Barnier wrote on Twitter that talks were in a crucial phase. He said that both sides must have the right to control their waters. David McAllister, chairman of the European Parliament's Foreign Affairs Committee, said this in a tweet that the Parliament will not be able to approve any agreement at this deal as was not reached by the Sunday deadline. Meanwhile, Scottish First Minister Nicola Sturgeon called on Johnson to seek an extension to the transition period. She tweeted that Britain needs to focus on tackling new coronavirus strain. European shares have slumped at the week's opening as the rapid spread of the new strain of the coronavirus led to a travel ban to the United Kingdom. The pan-European stock slipped by a whopping 2.3% after United Kingdom imposed an effective lockdown. London's FTSE dropped by 2.1% while the pound sank as well. Meanwhile, Germany's DAX also fell by 2.3%. Earlier, Asian stocks traded mixed with only the Shanghai Composite Index gaining. U.S. stocks have slumped as a new strain of coronavirus in Britain raised fears of further economic disruptions. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is trading lower by about 0.5%, and the S&P Global 500 and Nasdaq Composite have shed about 0.75%. Meanwhile, oil prices have also dropped as the new coronavirus strain fueled worries of over a slower recovery in fuel demand amid the tighter European restrictions. And in football, Real Madrid beat Eibar 3-1, recording their 4th consecutive league win. Karim Benzema kept his impressive run of form with his 7th league goal and 2 assists to secure Real's win. The French forward drove Real into the lead in the 6th minute, calmly netting the chipped pass from Rodrigo. Luka Modric capitalized on the lead in the 13th minute, with Benzema beating the defender and cutting the ball back. A Lucas Vazquez goal in the stoppage time sealed the win for Zidane side. The win moves Real to second place in the Spanish league, to level with leaders Atletico Madrid on 29 points. Pakistan's cricket team's captain Babar Azam will miss the first test match against New Zealand starting on the 26th of December. Pakistan Cricket Board says that the batting mainstay has been ruled out due to a fractured thumb. Sustaining the injury during a practice session last week, Babar was already ruled out of the three-match T20 series. Opening batsman Imam ul Haq also fractured his left thumb during a net session. PCB said that the medical staff is closely monitoring the process of both players. Mohammad Rizwan is set to lead the Green Shirts in Babar's absence and would be Pakistan's 33rd Test captain. South African legend Jacques Kallis will join England as the batting consultant for their tour of Sri Lanka in January. The 45-year-old will work under head coach Chris Silverwood and alongside assistant coach Paul Collingwood. Kallis has previously worked with South Africa team but was not a part of the protests set up for England's recent tour. England will play 2 tests in Sri Lanka before going on to tour India. Both tests will be played in Galley starting on the 14th and 22nd of January. Kallis is 3rd on the all-time list of test run scorers and took 292 wickets. In skiing, favorite Jonathan Meadle has won the first round of the Ski Cross World Cup in Val Thorens, France. The race, originally scheduled for Saturday, was moved to Sunday due to bad weather. Meadle outpaced competitors Canadian Reese Howden and German Florian Willensman on the slopes to win. Meanwhile, in the women's contest, top seed Swiss Fanny Smith dominated the race. Smith continued her excellent form, finishing ahead of French Jade Gurult-Aubert and Canadian Marielle Thompson. Following his win, Meadle said that it was a pity his family and fans couldn't attend the event.
I don't realize. Yeah, it's a crazy day. Just pity that there is no, my family, all the fan club, my village, all the support we had. It's it's a bit weird, but yeah. I don't know, still win, so I'm really, really happy. It's a good day.
Moving on to golf, Tiger Woods and son Charlie finished 5 shots back of the world number 3, Justin Thomas, and his father. Their PNC Championship debut, Woods placed 7 among the 20-team field. During his team's closing 10 under par 62, Charlie Woods rolled in a birdie at the par 4-10. He then unleashed a vintage low uppercut Tiger fist pump, seen countless times before the golf world. 11-year-old Charlie showcased impressive form at the Scramble event, looking every part his father. Enjoying a dominant golfing career, Tiger Woods added a new memory with the exhibition event in Orlando, Florida.
It was incredibly special for us to have the opportunity to spend the quality time we had. It's memories that we're going to have for our entire lives.
In surfing, Australian Tyler Wright has won a historic Maui Pro at Hawaii's Banzai Pipeline. Wright secured her first World Surf League event title after 3 long years wrecked by debilitating illness. In the first women's championship event held at the iconic Reef Break, Wright beat the 4-time world champion Carissa Moore in the final. A fatal shark attack near Honolulu Bay forced organizers to have the competition at Hawaii's famed Pipeline Break. The win gives 2-time world champion Wright a perfect return to the tour. Her victory was followed by John Florence beating Brazilian arch rival Gabriel Medina in the final, winning his first Pipeline Masters trophy.
It feels pretty unreal right now. It's been a hell of a couple of weeks for both the surfers and WSL, and we got this opportunity through tragedy. To have this opportunity today is something truly special. I do want to say thank you to the WSL for showing true leadership throughout this challenging few weeks to get us here.
It's now time to take a look at the weather around the world. For the latest news updates, you can follow us on our social media at indus.news.